Okay, so we're on page 148, and we're looking at loans and how to use Excel to figure some things out. So number one has a number of steps to it. Camilla has finally found a house that she adores. The cost of the home is $210,000, which she intends to purchase on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. Now, blinded by her adoration for the property, she has agreed to a 5.5% interest rate. So, part A, if this particular bank only requires a 15% down, what will Camilla's down payment be? So we're wanting to know what is 15% of 210,000. And so when we want to know that, we got to turn our percent into a decimal. So we're going to say 0.15 times 210,000. So we can find out what her down payment is. A down payment is the amount that you are paying in cash yourself, and it's not the part you're going to borrow. So it's to reduce the amount that you're going to end up borrowing. So when I multiply that, I find out that she is going to have a down payment of $31,500. That's the part she's not going to borrow. That's the money she already has. Okay? So her down payment is $31,500. What would Camilla need to type into Excel to figure out her monthly payment? And what will her monthly payment be? And it says use the table at the end of this section. So before we look down there, I want you to remember that all of our equations start with an equal sign. It's the first three letters or two letters that make the difference on which one we choose, because all of them in the parentheses are going to have a percentage rate divided by 12. They're going to have the number of payments, which usually we write it as 12 times the years, and then minus the amount of money that we're going to borrow. So we're going to come down to the bottom, and we're going to look for which equation would work for her situation. Now, we need to know how much she's going to borrow. So if we have 210,000 and her down payment's going to bring down the amount that she's going to borrow, we're going to not borrow 31,500. So we want to subtract that so we can see how much she's actually going to borrow. And so she's going to borrow 178,500. Now, knowing that, when we look at these, there's 4 Excel equations here. I don't really like how they put it together on this chart. Just so you know, this is the break here. So there's 2 equations here and 2 equations here. And so I'm looking for one that shows borrowing 178,000. And the only ones that do that are over here. So these are excluded. And actually, this one would have never been an option anyway because it says present value. And we already know the present value. You choose the equation of what you are trying to find out, not the one part that you already know. So we wouldn't have done this one. This one was a payment equation, but notice they're only borrowing $6,583.33. And the interest rate is wrong on here. It's supposed to be 5.5%, and this was 3.25%. So both of these we can eliminate. So over here on the left, sorry, I'm sprinting for room here on my desk. Over here on the left, we have 2 payment equations, and they both are borrowing the same amount, and they both have the same number of years. So the thing that that's going to let us know the difference here is the percentages. And right here, this one is the percent that's correct. So this box tells us what the payment's going to be. $1,013.50. So we'll come back up here. And we now know that her payment would be $1,013.50. I want to show you how we could have put that into Excel to calculate that. So we'll come over here to my Excel spreadsheet, and one of the key things that I want you to be aware of on this Excel spreadsheet is this function area right here. So when I type something in here, it's also going to show in up here. And so right here, we're going to type in what we were wanting for our equals PMT for payment. Now, if you push on this payment thing, it kind of gives you an example of how they want it typed in. I'm not going to worry about that. It's kind of hard to read those sometimes. Let's just go with our pattern. We said 0.055 for our interest rate, and we want to make sure it's divided by 12. Put a comma. We want 12 payments times 30 years, or if you know that that's 360, you could just type that in there and forget the multiplication, but we'll just do it this way. Comma, and then make sure you always put a minus in there for the money amount, so 178,500. And so there's our ingredients. Notice they're showing up here as well, and we just hit enter, and we got the same number they did. If we want to change this in any way, and a question in a minute is going to ask us, what if you got a different percentage rate? We would just come in here and click on not here in the cell, but up here in the function area. If we just click on this part, we can change the percent. I can kind of delete what's there and put in my 425 or whatever they want us to do, and just change that part, and I can hit enter. And it'll show us the difference automatically.